setting up for some comfort wherever you are, whether it's seated or laying down, and you can blanket up, you can make yourself as comfortable as you'd like. So as you come into this space of total relaxation, one of the aspects that we start to seek out first is our physical ease. So coming into a state of comfort, however that looks like for you, whether you be supported with a pillow, a blanket, something soft underneath the head, the back of the hips. The sacral bone, when we lay down in meditation, if we're here a while, it can become quite heavy. So even just pulling the blanket around your back body, and then opening this relaxation with a symbolic breath of comfort. And as we come to our breath, we start to notice how our breath is influenced inside the body. And these two are in a perfect union. One expands to invite the other, and one contracts to help the other to release. It's in balance and harmony no matter what way you're breathing, how deeply you're breathing, how shallow you're breathing. This is all in exact perfectness. How the body needs to be breathed, how you need to experience your breath. And you may notice as you move deeper into this meditation that the breath starts to lengthen out. And that doesn't make this breath right or wrong. It's just noticing that the body is ready and prepared to relax, to surrender, that the guard can be dropped. And sitting with this idea that I am safe, I am supported, and there is nothing that I will miss from this teaching that is meant for me. And that I will always take exactly what I need and have what I need in every moment as a channel of Reiki. And with the eyes closed, you can take your hands to your hip points and placing one palm over top of right hip and one palm over top of left hip. And at the very base of the spine, more towards the genitals, we have this spinning wheel of energy. And it spins clockwise through the body. And this spinning wheel is called a chakra, and you may hear it called a chakra. And whatever feels comfortable for you to say, you can silently repeat inside your mind. The spinning wheel of the root chakra. And this color that exists here in this very base, this most human chakra, is red, brilliant, glowing red. And if there is an experience of a deeper, darker red, just noticing without attachment to a story of what it could be, just noticing that this is existing within the body. And using each breath to activate the color inside the spinning wheel. Noticing how the breath interacts and plays with your chakra center. And so each of these chakra centers also have what we know in traditional Chinese medicine as meridian lines that move through them. And these are impacted through all bodies, physical, ether, emotional, mental, spiritual. And so a blockage that can exist inside these chakras could be experienced through any of those layers. As we go into practice with each other, we'll figure out ways of determining how and what and why belongs in each chakra. But for right now, I just want you to be in a total experience state. No need to investigate or research, just noticing what's happening. And here at this root chakra, you are inside the physical body's organs, joints, muscles. You're within the heart, blood, and nervous system. As you rest here, knowing that this chakra is influencing all areas, it's where we are secure. It's where we have programmed our stability. And it's how we relate to money. And here inside of this chakra is all of our family, our ancestry, our family of origin, and the families that we have chosen to create. It's very representative of where do I stand, and also how much space am I allowed to take up. That's all here. And so as you sit with that, just exploring what's coming up, what's arriving, and perhaps you see yourself on a map, a checkered map, and where your root chakra exists within the world. How much space do you take up? And how steady do you stand? How stable do you feel? And what is your relationship with energy exchange, your family, and how you've survived this whole life? What comes through here? And this would be the same hand placement you would do for a client. You would lean across the table, one hand on one hip and the other on the other hip. And before you leave, bring back the idea, the visual experience of the red spinning wheel. How fast is it moving? How slow does it go? How bright does it get? Or how deep is it? One last experience here with the root chakra in our final 3 breaths. Before we begin to move upward towards the sacral chakra. And this is where we place our hands to the very low of the belly. So these will land just above the hip points. And your fingertips of your middle fingers, right and left hand, can touch its center just below the belly button. And palms flat along the belly. And even as you're moving your hands, you might notice that there is some sort of heat that's coming off of your hands, or maybe coming off of your body into your hands. And as the hands rest at the low belly, what we know to be the sacral chakra, the wheel of orange spins here. And so igniting within the mind's eye, this wheel of orange. This beautiful wheel of orange, no matter what color the orange is coming through as a deep or a bright color, this is so reflective of your beautiful creative side, how you relate to your sensuality and your sexuality, And this here is your whole emotional life. It all sits here inside of this spinning wheel of orange. This chakra is expansive as it reaches out to others. This is where we begin to start our journey out. Root is very focused inward on survival. And sacral chakra realizes that there is more to life than survival. There is this beautiful gift of creativity and this expression of your sensuality, whether it has been dulled or reframed throughout the course of your life. There is the very essence of what it was meant to be for you here. And inside of this chakra, we are also experiencing our organs and intestines, the spleen and your digestive tract. All comes through this chakra. And if you feel called at any point in time to place hand upon hand, that is activating a different frequency. It almost focuses the energy to a stronger point if you feel called at any place to do that. And just the way you are would be exactly how you would treat a client, just with fingertips to wrist instead of middle finger to middle finger. Your middle finger would rest against your wrist as you placed your hands across your client's low belly. Maybe in this moment you see yourself as an energy practitioner and you see your hands across a client's belly. And you see this orange chakra wheel moving. How fast, how slow. And then the solar plexus chakra, as we move along, we come upward to just below the rib cage. So we have that guard of the heart, what we know is the sternum. And then just below that is the diaphragm. And right in that area we know is the solar plexus chakra. And I like to place two hands on top of each other here. Or you could spread them out across the belly. And just know that you are sending your energy to the solar plexus chakra, the spinning wheel of yellow. This is a beautiful, powerful chakra. This is where we begin to establish our identity, our sense of I-ness, as we learn how to expand outward and connect to the world. This is how we see ourselves. It's our will center. It is a very dominant center, very situated in identity of who we think we are. And often the many roles that we play become tied up inside of this chakra center. Whether they belong there or not, as we associate to a role that could change, this is where they land, inside of the bright yellow sun of the solar plexus chakra. And we have within here the idea of self-expression, how we express ourselves, who we are. And we often hold judgment of ourselves here, which is very, very often reflected or deflected through judgment of others. And how we judge others is how we judge ourselves. And how that feels. It also is our ability to relate to others. So this is when we start to realize that Others can mirror and reflect back to us who we are. And in paradox to that, it's also where we find our independence and our self-will. You may hear people say, I felt it in my gut. My intuition comes from my gut. And that's so reflective of this second brain, or third brain truly, the emotional processing center of our organ body and belly. And it's always taking in information, processing at higher levels than we could ever comprehend. And it comes to us through our stories, our belief systems. So it often comes with a veil attached to it. So this is where we learn to release the veil and to really just hear and listen what is being shared with me here. And is there any fear that exists within this blazing yellow chakra? And fear comes from the idea that we're separate. At the root of fear is always that we are separate. In some way we'll be rejected or cast out. Is there any of that existing within this chakra for you to explore as you go into your own phase of self-healing? And then the eventual catalyst of channeling Reiki for others. Where this chakra shows up is in our mental body, as it comes to us through the ego, an expression of our own personal power. If this chakra is deficient, it's often that we've gone into a state of depression. It is our vitality for life. It helps us to set goals for ourselves, to believe in ourselves. And this one really is a big, big chakra. It shows up a lot for a lot of people. And as I've taken you so far up 3 chakras, from the root, red, to the sacral, orange, you are now at the solar plexus, yellow. And what's about to happen as we move upward is that you are transcending your most human chakras. So these 3 in particular hold a lot of our human qualities, the things that we attribute to ego and things that we've learned, stories that we have been told, cultural things that we have been shared with. All of these things are here. And at this bridge that we call the heart, you move upward. And the very center is where we focus our attention. It's more of a spiritual heart center. So if you know anything about anatomy, you know that the heart doesn't belong here physically in the physical body. But as I told you earlier, in the energetic body, this is where the spiritual heart exists. And so you will take your palms and place them one on top of each other, right at the center of your breast, right at the center of the chest. And it's I need to share this experience with you because it's purposeful. As you land your hands at your heart center, there has been baby robins that have been born outside of my house. And just as we were about to move upward to where the bridge is from human to spirit, this robin, which is often the sign of renewal, rebirth, and brings forward spring, he arrived, the baby, to come stare in the window, and he is not left. So he's with you. You have the spirit and the energy of Robin as you transcend upward to where it's a balance and a harmony So love has been often referred to and romanticized and been something that we've sought out, or something that we've needed to feel deserving of, or something that we felt undeserving of. But in its essence, it is just balance, harmony, and union. And when you think about how the lower chakras have reflected all of your humanness, what we have been telling ourselves as our good qualities and our bad qualities, inside the heart is where you can harmonize and synthesize all of these things into absolute perfection. And I'm not talking about the kind of perfect that is striving. I'm talking about the kind of perfect that is. The one that just is complete. And here you are complete as you rest your hands on top of your heart, and the color of the chakra glows green. And you can experience the wheel of the chakra as it glows green underneath the palms of your hands. And this one is, it opens front to back. So as you are here at this chakra, you are also influencing the back body. And from my perspective of energy and all the work that I've done for the past 10 years, this has, if I can reach bodies across the oceans, I can reach the back body through my intention. And so you are healing your front and your back at the same time. And also here inside the heart is where we hold our sympathy and our empathy. And it has a great potential to heal from this space. And so if you are in a space of needing healing, you can call that in here and just ask for whatever needs to be healed, to be resolved in the way that the universe can see. And maybe perhaps there is no solution that you can see, but the universe always knows. And as we ask for its guidance and direction, it is always available. And as we look at the concepts that exist outside of what we've already talked about, there is what is known as loving behavior that exists here. There is mercy, and our dedication is here. So if the heart is in a space of lack, often our ability to dedicate ourselves to something also disappears. And right here, right now, you are in a state of total openness and acceptance to what is coming. And as you move into your sleep and dream state, this is where you experience this through the heart center. So in your waking state, you can be in a loving state of openness and acceptance. And through the heart, you experience your sleep and dreams. This is also where we begin to connect and see nature as consciousness as well, is from the heart center. We begin to experience nature as consciousness and as like-minded consciousness. And the organs that are here are heart and lungs and chest, your circulation, your arms and your hands. So the palms are connected to your heart chakra. And that's so that the channel is pure. And stay here, just honoring this beautiful green glow as the chakra moves, and whatever you need from whatever information I've given you. And if you were practicing on a client, depending on your level of comfort with touch, I often hover above, hand on top of hand, just above the heart center where you are now. And if you're comfortable with your client, you could also place the palms in the very center at the sternum, one on top of the other. So we'll move on from the heart chakra. This is the bridge. I've also been known to call the chakra centers the heaven and earth being our human self. This is where we are transcending our human self and beginning to climb the spiritual ladder of consciousness towards the whole connection is through the heart space. It's like the gateway, the door. And through the heart, you open the door and you step upward towards the throat chakra. And at the throat chakra, you'll take your palms and bring them across the throat so that the wrists are touching and your fingers wrap around the back of your neck. And if that doesn't feel safe, you can also just place your hands across your clavicle bones or off to the side of the throat. And this is going to be something that you'll have to intuit about working with clients, is their level of safety around their throat. Many people have a high level of fear of their voice and their truth being blocked. And that's typically where they are in life. But if you place your hands there, it's going to make them feel very suffocated and activate fear. So even noticing in yourself right now, if you were to heal your throat, if you were to work on your throat right now, which you are, where would it be most comfortable to place your hands, and just looking into the why behind that? Do you feel safe having your throat totally encapsulated by your palms, your fingers, your wrists touching? Or do you need that space and expansiveness in the throat to really feel safe in the hands alongside the throat? As you come to rest here in the throat chakra, this is where the color blue, that beautiful light blue of the sky, comes from the wheel, lands into the wheel, and it expands outward. And this is a full expansion. And you can see this color begin to expand beyond the physical body and start to interact with the universal consciousness as you elevate from an individual consciousness. And right here is the truth. This is the truth of who you are and how you show up in the world. It also stands for our connection to ourselves, how we communicate with others, and not just others in the physical form, because that's easy for most of us, but how we communicate with beings in the non-physical form. This can also land here. And if we trust that that exists outside of our five sensory self, so if we can experience it through the five senses, is it real? If I can feel it but I can't see it, is it real? And this is our openness to these concepts, or our exploration of our truth, our self-expression, and remembering that this is all inside your manual, that you don't have to write anything down, that you just are in a total state of receiving. Inside of the throat chakra, despite the fact that we are moving upward towards this unified consciousness, there is still this individual expression. And I told you at the beginning of our opening that your voice is your uniqueness, and whether you are mute or not, there is some way in which you express yourself, what we would call your voice. And this creates your individuality, and this is what needs to be shared. This is what the world is crying out for, what spirit is crying out for to be shared. There's so much wisdom here. And with that wisdom comes the responsibility to heal and to share the wisdom in the exact way that only you are able to. Only you. This is also a balance of, am I able to receive as well as I give? Or am I able to give as well as I receive? And that's always something to really check in, is that, am I living in balance? Am I in alignment? And is there a truth within me that needs the courage of my heart? And the root of heart is courage. And at the lower chakra center, you have that courage as you transcend upward through the throat. And the physical body holds the throat chakra energy within the organs of the lungs, your throat, your bronchial, and your voice. And so when you're working with a client and they are sharing, or yourself and you're sharing, and there is a catch in your throat or a need to be cleared, there is something there that needs to be healed with what you're either wanting to speak about, and it might not even be what you're currently speaking on, but perhaps a belief system that's tied to where this conversation is going. And that will often happen as we are blocking our truth. And so something to think about there is if a client is coughing, there's a truth that is being overlooked or not being shared. The spinning wheel is a brilliant sky blue. And if the body starts to release tears as we go along, remember that the most healing elements inside of the universe are salt and water. And in your tears, you're shedding this crying as it leaves the body, if that's happening for you, that this is nature's way of supporting this release, this blockage that lets go. One last breath here feels needed. And as we move up to the third eye chakra, when you're laying down as a self-treatment, so if you were moving up to the third eye chakra, I would have you place your hands on top of the forehead center, stacked, or just one hand on the forehead center. But as you come to heal yourself, I like to rest my palms, the heel of my palm, into the orbit of my eye socket, and then just blanket my fingers across the forehead. This is a very powerful healing position for yourself, as your eyes, your physical eyes, are so used to seeing the truth. But when you close your physical eyes and you add weight to them, you are able to activate this third eye chakra that exists at the very center of your forehead, directly back into the midbrain. And inside the midbrain, all of the chakra centers are connected to endocrine glands, but I haven't been mentioning them just simply because I didn't want you to attach too much to a Western idea. But here is the pituitary gland and the pineal gland, or pineal gland, you might hear it called. At the very midbrain, there is, through the pineal gland, it also has retinal tissue, and it experiences light with your eyes closed. It is capable of sight. It's capable of seeing. And so when your eyes are closed and you're experiencing all that color, it is being experienced through the pineal gland. And that is your direct experience of the pineal gland. So here we have this beautiful, abundant color of indigo, which is like a combination of purple and blue, and it's just deep and rich. And I think its richness is there because it is so deep. It is so internal that there's this self-reflection that happens here, this knowing, this education that you're receiving from the great mystery school of the universe, that inner faculty of wisdom exists within you. This is the very seat of your intuition. And whatever you're experiencing as I'm talking is all so welcome as you increase your spiritual frequency, connecting to new ideas and opening yourself to the possibility of visions. And maybe if there has been something that you've been struggling to solve, perhaps here inside of this chakra there is an answer for you. the insights as you begin to release yourself from separateness and join into spirit. This is where we come to be inspired. And oftentimes, because this is the third eye, it is communicating to us through an inner sight, a visual, pictures, seeing impressions. And the related body areas to the third eye chakra are the eyes, the nervous system, and the brain and the forehead. And the nervous system because it connects to the brain, so everything is upward, right? And just stay here for 3 more breaths, just seeing what comes, if there's a wisdom that comes for you here from this. There's an insight or a download that you needed to hear. Or maybe it's about your journey as self-healing or expanding outwards towards guiding others inward. And this last one, this one is, we will represent it through the physical body by placing the palms at the top of the head so the elbows come upward towards the sky, and the shoulders rotate to flank the ears. And then you place both palms side by side with the baby fingers touching side by side at the top of the head. This is the crown chakra, and this is the one that we know as the color purple. We are representing it through the physical, and I was actually initially taught through the physical body. It was represented in the pituitary gland. But since I've aligned with the understanding and study that the pituitary gland and the pineal gland both belong to the third eye, and that the crown chakra has no connection to our human body. It floats above us, and it's not connected to the earth. It's not tethered at all to the earth. And so through us being human, we are earth, but it floats above us as something that we can reach up and connect to. And so right now, you are opening up your crown of your head to reach upward towards the sky, to that crown chakra that is always present and available for you as you connect to your cosmic consciousness and what we can feel inside our body as a total unity, a oneness, and the possibility to receive an inner knowledge or knowing is awakened. The possibility of enlightenment is awakened, and whether it's a flash or a moment, this experience is real here. The color is purple. The whole essence is that there is a spiritual truth that exists here. A spiritual truth. And if we are going to relate this back to the body, we would go through the brain and the nervous system and the top of the head. But truly, I think we would bypass all of those and go to something more transcendent. This is a all-encompassing chakra, so just being open to what's coming as you work to heal here. And so you have just experienced all of the chakra centers, and so now I'd like you to take your left palm, the palm of receiving, and place it at your left hip. And leave your right hand at the crown of your head. And so the right hand is the giving. And so you're receiving information from the lower chakras and giving it to the higher chakras to be processed from human to spirit, harmonized. We're taking this all to center. So you'll notice that each chakra has a pair, until we land at the major center of the heart, which is the balancer. So breathing here with one hand on your hip and one at the top of your head, take 3 long breaths with your eyes closed. And maybe you see a mix of red and purple, or perhaps it's even many of these chakras that lies in between. You are grounding and you are elevating. And then we'll take our top hand and place it on the forehead, and our lower hand and place it at the low belly, below the belly button. And this is a wonderful, beautiful union of my inner knowing and my outer creativity. And my inner awareness of self and my connection to my sensuality and my expression through my sexuality. And no matter where you land on the spectrum, that is all perfect. And then we'll take the top hand to the throat and the bottom hand to your belly, just below the rib cage, above the belly button. And so one hand could rest across the throat or just to the side of the throat, depending on what you have to heal. And this is our identity being expressed through our truth. So you're creating a balance of ego with the truth of your spirit. And such a beautiful dynamic combination of these chakras. And all of them are so perfectly paired with one another. And I should go back to the root and the crown, because I think I overlooked that in the root we are so separate from everything, and in the crown we're so connected. And so when we bring those two together, they balance each other out, that we aren't too airy and we aren't too heavy. We find this perfect balance. And as we close off at the throat and the solar plexus chakra, we'll come to place both hands at the heart, and this is where we balance all of the chakras. So if you're struggling to balance your client, doing this from heaven to earth to heart center is going to be one of the most quickest ways that will happen. And so inside the heart, everything is perfect. All of what needs to be reordered or restructured within the body is done here. And there's really nothing left to say except for to breathe into your heart. And from the heart space, feeling this overwhelming sense of love that isn't coming from the outside in, but coming from somewhere inside of you out. And from the heart radiating through your body, beyond your body into your ether body, mental body, healing as it goes through the emotional body, spiritual body, all bodies. And beyond your bodies, we experience what we know as a connection to Source. And from this connection to Source, this heart love, this heart harmony, balance, energy is transmitted out into the community. To first your home, whoever is home, whatever animals, plants, whatever form of consciousness exists within your home. It's radiating heart energy beyond the walls of your home to your community. And especially for those that you struggle to love, this goes out to them and comes back to you. And beyond the community to the world as a whole. This gift of Reiki with no time and no space, you have this ability to heal beyond the walls of where you live. And in gratitude for the channel that exists here, we'll close this practice with thank you to this beautiful Reiki channel that we just have experienced.